On a summer morning, nearly 1,000 years ago, people looked up and saw a new star. Not dim, not faint, bright enough to see in broad daylight. It hadn't been there the night before. Nobody knew what it was, and it didn't fade after a few hours or a few days. It stayed, visible in daylight for over 3 weeks, visible at night for almost 2 years. Then, centuries later, astronomers pointed a telescope at the same patch of sky and found something still there. Something we're only now beginning to fully understand. This is the story of a star that died long before any human was alive to see it happen, and the strange 900-year gap between watching it explode and finally understanding what it left behind. To understand this story, you have to understand how rare it actually is. Supernovae, the explosive death of a massive star, are common across the universe, but visible ones, close enough, bright enough, for a person on Earth to see with nothing but their own eyes, are not. In 2,000 years of recorded human history, only 7 or 8 have ever been confidently documented. Most centuries pass without a single one. So when a new one appears, it isn't a footnote, it's an event. One that ancient astronomers took seriously enough to record in detail, because in the year 1054, it happened again. In China, court astronomers had a formal name for this kind of event. They called it a guest star. Not a comet, not a planet, something that simply arrived. On the 4th of July, in the year 1054, Chinese astronomers recorded exactly that. A brilliant new star near the constellation we now call Taurus. They described it as several times brighter than Venus, with a reddish-white color and rays extending outward in 4 directions. Japanese astronomers recorded the same event independently, around the same time. This wasn't a rumor, passed down and exaggerated over centuries. It was measured, tracked, written down, day by day, by trained observers whose job was to document exactly this kind of thing. And what they recorded was extraordinary. The star was visible in broad daylight for 23 days. At night, it remained visible to the naked eye for almost 2 years. 2 years of watching the same strange point of light fade night by night without disappearing. For comparison, the brightest star in our night sky, Sirius, has been exactly where it is for your entire life. Imagine something rivaling it in brightness, appearing without warning, and taking 2 years just to fade away. Now here's where the story gets strange. Given how bright this event was, visible during the day, visible for months at night, you'd expect it to show up everywhere, in every culture capable of watching the sky, and in China and Japan. It does. But historians have searched extensively for a European record of this event, and found almost nothing. Not a confirmed sighting, not a passing mention in a chronicle. Silence. Nobody knows for certain why. Cloud cover on the right nights in the right places across an entire continent seems unlikely. More likely, European record-keeping simply wasn't built the way Chinese court astronomy was. There was no formal, centuries-old institution whose entire purpose was tracking and logging new stars as omens of state. But it remains one of the strangest silences in the history of astronomy. The same sky, the same event, and almost total quiet from half the observing world. There's one more possible record. Thousands of miles away in what is now New Mexico. At a site called Chaco Canyon, archaeologists found a piece of rock art carved into a cliff face. A star, a crescent moon, a human handprint. Some researchers argue this is a direct depiction of the 1054 event, pointing out that, calculated backward, the moon really was in almost exactly that position, that close to the new star on the morning it first appeared, as seen specifically from that part of the world. It's a compelling argument, but it isn't settled. Other serious researchers point out that a star beside a crescent moon is one of the most common symbols in human art across countless unrelated cultures and centuries. The image alone doesn't prove which event it's depicting, or if it's depicting a real event at all. This is worth sitting with for a moment. Not every ancient mystery has a clean answer. Sometimes the most honest thing history can offer is a genuinely open question. What we do know for certain is what happened next. For nearly 700 years, the star that Chinese and Japanese astronomers had once tracked so carefully simply faded from human memory. Then, in 1758, a French astronomer named Charles Messier was searching the sky for comets and found something else instead, a faint, glowing cloud in almost exactly the position ancient astronomers had once described. He had no way of knowing it yet, but he just rediscovered the remains of that same explosion. 7 centuries later, it became the very first entry in his now famous catalog of night sky objects. Object number 1. Decades later, another astronomer studied it through a more powerful telescope and sketched its shape. He thought it looked something like a crab. The name stuck, even after he changed his mind. By the early 20th century, astronomers had confirmed what many suspected. This glowing cloud was expanding. And if you calculated its expansion backward, it led directly to the year 1054. The mystery the Chinese and Japanese astronomers had documented, and the strange cloud a French astronomer had stumbled onto centuries later, were the same event. But the story doesn't end there, because in 1968, something even stranger was found right at the very center of that cloud, an object spinning, not slowly, 30 times every single second. It was a neutron star, the impossibly dense, collapsed core left behind after the star's outer layers were blown apart, only 20 kilometers across, spinning fast enough to sweep a beam of radiation across the Earth 30 times a second, like a lighthouse rotating at a speed that shouldn't be physically possible for something that dense. It became one of the first pulsars ever confirmed, and it proved for the first time that the strange, rapidly spinning objects theorists had predicted decades earlier were real. The star Chinese astronomers watched appear in 1054 had left behind one of the most extreme objects known to modern physics. They just had no way of knowing it yet. Here's what makes this story different from most ancient sky stories. This isn't a case of forgotten wisdom waiting quietly to be rediscovered. Ancient astronomers didn't understand what a supernova was. They didn't know about neutron stars or pulsars or the physics of a dying star's collapse. But what they did do was watch carefully and write down exactly what they saw without exaggeration for as long as it remained visible. That discipline, plain, careful observation, sustained over weeks and months and years, is what allowed astronomers 900 years later to reconstruct the entire event with real precision. Not myth, not guesswork, a dataset, and there's still more to learn from it. Astrophysicists studying the Crab Nebula today still debate some of the finer details of exactly how the explosion unfolded, based on subtle inconsistencies between the ancient brightness records and modern models of how supernova are supposed to behave. A 1,000-year-old written record is still actively shaping modern astrophysics research, which raises a genuinely strange thought. Somewhere, right now, there may be another supernova quietly building toward the same kind of moment, and whether we notice it in time, whether we record it as carefully as ancient astronomers once did, may depend less on our technology and more on whether anyone happens to be watching and willing to write down exactly what they see. The star that became the Crab Nebula died thousands of years before anyone on Earth saw it happen. Its light simply took that long to arrive. When it finally did, in the summer of 1054, People who had no telescopes, no understanding of physics, no way of knowing what a star even was, still knew it mattered enough to record. They watched it for 2 years. Then it faded. And for 700 years, it was gone, not destroyed, not disproven, just waiting. Waiting for someone to look at the right patch of sky with the right instrument and recognize what they were actually looking at. Somewhere above you, right now, that same object is still there. 20 kilometers of collapsed matter, spinning 30 times a second in the exact spot where ancient astronomers once watched a new star appear. It has been patiently waiting to be understood for longer than most human civilizations have existed, and it's still not finished teaching us.